I think probably most people who are watching this video, almost assuredly you've seen Tesla Bjorn's videos because his channel is much more popular than mine. Now, every time I see Tesla Bjorn on YouTube get a NIO, he can't figure out how to kick to open the trunk. So I'm here to teach you guys today, and Bjorn in particular. Next time you have a NIO, once you get your hands on this car, here's what you do. You make sure you have the fob. You have to have the fob. As far as I know, it doesn't work with your phone, but you stand literally right behind the license plate. You take your right leg, you do one time, and it opens. So Bjorn, no more of this, no more of this, none of that, okay? One time, opens. And of course, push to close right there. So I hope that's helpful. NIO recently invited groups of local and international media, car vloggers, YouTube reviewers, and of course, little old me, to Beijing to experience the all-new next generation ES6. To be quite honest, sometimes I'm not sure how I fit into the mix with all of these talented and extremely knowledgeable people who will be producing amazing articles and video reviews about this incredible car. So what do I actually bring to the table at an event like this? I'm just a NIO user after all. I'm certainly not a professional car reviewer. I'm not striving to be a car YouTuber or to become an influencer. And I'm not even particularly interested in generating clicks or engagement on my channel, as you can probably tell. I know. Interesting way to start a car review, right? But that's the point, I suppose, and why NIO invites me to activities like this. I'm hopefully there to bring a little bit something different, a perspective that's not really built on just a few hours driving the car, but it's built on living with the NIO and deeply interacting with the brand, engaging with the community, and embracing all that NIO offers beyond just the car. So before I really start this perhaps oddly shaped review, if you're looking for something that gets deep into the specs of the car, tells you what to think of the new beltline or the pure nose of the vehicle, you're not really going to find that here, and feel free to click off to another channel that gives you more of what you're looking for. The last thing I want to do is waste anyone's time. Lord knows we only have so much of it. Life is on. That is the slogan that NIO chose to represent their all-new ES6. Clearly, life doesn't begin with your choice of car, and this is, marketing speak, but at the same time, I do think that this slogan is very telling. For NIO, I believe that this represents a new beginning, that they are just getting started. The first gen ES6 is by far NIO's best-selling model, so they really have a lot riding on this release. If this car isn't a success, then perhaps NIO is not long for this world. Fortunately, after spending some time with the car, I can honestly say that they've really knocked it out of the park in almost every single aspect that is important. Starting with the price. Here in China, you can get entry-level luxury at a price that practically screams mass market. If you purchase this car with battery as a service, you're looking at a starting price of 298,000 RMB or 42,000 US dollars. At that price, I expected it to more closely compare to the ET5, NIO's entry-level sedan, when it comes to interior design and materials, but surprisingly, I would say that it is a lot closer in trim level to its big brother, the ES7. Not only do you get soft, lush material on all common touch points throughout the car, but you also get a massive moonroof that actually opens and a crisp, clear heads-up display as standard in every car. NIO has said that they're not interested in getting into price war here in China. They're not lowering the prices of the cars that they've already put on the market. Luckily for NIO, this ES6 is launching after the price war hit, and so they can price this probably cheaper than they would have wanted to and not call it a price cut. When you and your family step into this car, you will not feel like it is the runt of the NIO SUV litter. Instead, you will feel like it has everything that you need included as standard. Of course, NIO also offers different options if you feel the need, but even with the most basic package, you are not going to feel like this car lacks for anything. EV reviewers and enthusiasts alike often seem to get caught up in what are essentially Excel tables and not really what I would call, actual real life and real world experiences. What I mean is, we all like to compare acceleration times, charging curves, battery efficiency, that sort of thing. But for me, as a person who has driven a lot of miles in EVs in Europe, in USA, and in China, I personally feel like there isn't really a huge difference in 20 minutes to charge to 80% versus 30 minutes. Or even with battery swapping, 5.5 minutes on Gen 2 versus 4.5 minutes on Gen 3 power swap stations. Functionally, who cares? Yeah, time's precious, but it's not that precious. The times that those minutes actually matter are likely to be such a small percentage of your total time with your car. Really, who cares? What really matters, in my opinion, is how you feel. Do you like getting in your car every day? Does your car add actual value to your life? Or, on the other hand, does it add stress every time you look at it and think about it? Does it make it easier for you to have fun, to enjoy joyful experiences with your family and friends, to actually gain a better, more fulfilling life? I think that these are factors that don't really fit into an Excel comparison table, because how can it? This is a problem for NIO because one of their goals as a company is to assist you in achieving a more joyful life. Killer acceleration, a whisper quiet, well-insulated cabin, battery swapping, These parts of the Excel sheet are easy to notice, but what else is there? There's a lot more to the ES6 and to NIO than just a car. So how can we review just the car? So as they go off shooting their little B-roll and extra scenes for their videos, what I'm going to tell you is about how NIO always wants to take care of their users. So here for this event, I got these NIO branded, there you go, NIO branded UV protected sleeves. And you know, here in Beijing, a lot of times it's quite hot, the sun's shining pretty bright, but there's always smog or fog. And you know, a lot of people, they forget to put on UV protection when it's foggy or smoggy outside, or cloudy even. So, you know, ultraviolet light, those rays, wow, they're coming fast now. That ultraviolet light, it can go through the cloud layer and burn you, especially if you have fair skin like me. So again, you know, probably won't get sunburned today. It's a little bit rainy, but I do have to commend NIO for always making sure to take care of their users. I truly believe that it's the little things that contribute to living a joyful lifestyle. We don't have to worry about things like ultraviolet ray protection and sunburns. You can just go out and have fun. Drive the car, stick your arm out the window, put the top down. This is exactly what life should be about, in my opinion. Oh, if I don't fall in a hole. When you buy a car, you're gonna have to pay for insurance. So why not get NIO's worry-free package, which is competitively priced and offers total peace of mind with everything from free paint repair to designated driver coupons to ensure that you and your loved ones and the community at large make it home safely each and every night. How can we rate that kind of service and put it into a review of a car? Should we? I don't know. The entire ecosystem that NIO provides, the wraparound service, the feeling of being part of a community, not just an individual, I think it's important, but it's impossible to rate. And how do you leave out NIO services like mobile repair or the mobile charging van that delivers power to you for free anywhere in China? One click to charge, you can't beat it. And then of course we have NIO lifestyle products. During the course of this weekend, NIO tried to provide the entire NIO experience, or as much of it as possible, for the media and for the vloggers that were in attendance. But how many of them are actually going to talk about what was provided to us? Whether it's NIO Life gifts, whether it's the glamping experience that NIO provided, or whether it's the city drinks or the coffee. If you buy an ES6, here in China anyway, you get access to all these things like NIO houses and NIO drinks and NIO Life products. And to be honest, most of the time it's going to be free for you through, you know, acquiring NIO points, whether it's you get NIO points when you buy the car, or you get NIO points when you check in on the app every day, or other ways to earn NIO points as well. Buying a NIO ES6 gets you into this NIO ecosystem, which for most people who are in it, I would argue, would agree with me, believe that it's a more joyful, happy experience once you are involved in it. What I'm saying is I applaud NIO and their team here for trying to get the media and getting the vloggers and the reviewers to experience this all. But I've never seen it reflected in reviews. And when you talk about, oh, NIO is X price and the specs are this on an Excel sheet, sure, but also NIO is so much more. And again, it might not matter to everybody, but it is part of the NIO experience and it is part of the NIO ES6 here. So I think it's important to at least mention it. We've also got to take a look at the all new Banyan operating system version 2.0, which has launched with the NIO EC6 and will roll out with software updates to other NIO 2nd Gen vehicles. With Banyan OS 2.0, you can now communicate directly with your dedicated NIO service team directly from the vehicle. You no longer need your mobile phone and the app in order to request service or to get feedback from your NIO service staff. In a lot of ways, with the NIO ES6 and with their new operating system, they have begun to strip away as many pain points as possible. Or perhaps I should say they've refined the experience of interacting with your car and with your car company post-sale. They've done this, I would argue, in order to remove stress and to increase positive experience, even in the face of adversity, like when your car needs an emergency roadside repair. I'm sure that NIO looks at other manufacturers and they see how much frustration people have when they need a repair or when they need service or just when they need feedback from the company that they purchased the car from. NIO tries to make this as frictionless and as easy as possible. And when I had my EC6, I never had a bad experience with NIO service. You can check out other videos on this channel to see what I mean. With the new operating system, NIO has also added screencasting from your mobile device directly to the car infotainment system. With frequent over-the-air updates, the experience can and should only improve over time. Over the course of the ES6 experience weekend, NIO repeatedly emphasized their focus on creating a pure design aesthetic. from the chrome delete, creating a two-tone look, to the hidden rear wiper and hidden indicator lights, to a myriad other design touches across the entirety of the all-new ES6. However, the most interesting pure design improvement in it is the seats. The ES6, along with the new EC7 and ES8, finally offer seats designed by an in-house team at NIO. This has allowed them to not only address customer feedback from the previous generation of cars, but also to create a design that is better integrated into their vehicles. This means that even though the ES6 is actually shorter in height than its first-gen counterpart, it offers both more headroom and legroom in all seats of the car. The previous generation queen seat had thick rails obstructing legroom for rear passengers, and those previous gen seats required a higher floor. With the new generation, that has been left behind for good. When it comes to the pure aspect of the design of these seats, the headrest actually offers an invisible design element that somehow manages to both telescope in and out, as well as to raise up and down. In my old car, my EC6, I actually bought a head pillow and I strapped it around the headrest in order to get an ideal head and neck position while driving. With the new design, this will no longer be necessary, and while the mechanisms required to make this function properly are likely incredibly complex, you are not going to be visually subjected to unsightly metal or other mechanical distractions. This is what NIO's talking about when they talk about pure design. To me, it's funny to think about design decisions like this. The designers clearly worked very hard to make a complicated thing look and feel as simple, minimalistic, and as invisible as possible. I actually feel kind of bad for them. All that hard work and probably nobody will even notice. Another thing with the seats, and arguably my favorite new feature of this car, surprisingly enough, is the middle seat in the back can actually fold down flat independent of the other two seats. So yes, now my surfboard, or for you Europeans, your skis can easily fit in the car, and you can still also carry yourself and 3 passengers up to the Swiss Alps during your annual month-long holiday, or during your 12 months paternity leave. And yes, I'm a bitter American that thankfully I don't work in the States, but if I did, I would have no time off. So make sure that your life is on and you put these new seats to good use. Now don't quote me on this, but it is also my understanding that in Europe, the ES6 will have the electric tow hitch as standard as well. So put the middle seat down, throw in your skis, hook up your bike rack to the back electric tow hitch, or tow a caravan, do your thing. You guys really do have the best life out there. Don't squander it. That's my advice to you. One more thing about the seats before we move on is the massage functions are all noticeably improved from both previous NT 2.0 cars like the ET7 and improved as well from NT 1.0. The massage seats have stronger pressure and they create a more soothing experience. Of course, I do want to be fair in my assessment of this car, so now is the time that I really give you a couple things that I think still could be improved. First and foremost is the queen seat. I think in Europe it's called the lounge seat, essentially the zero gravity function of the seat. Presumably this was designed A, primarily for Chinese consumers, and B, probably also for female Chinese consumers, women passengers. So I'm 5'11" or 179 centimeters, and for me, going into zero gravity mode, I would say was not particularly comfortable. At the same time, the shorter people who were there at the event, they tried out the mode, they said it felt just fine for them. For me, I couldn't find a good position for all points along my body. If my head and back felt like they were in the right spot, then my legs were kind of bunched up. If my legs and butt were comfortable, then my back and head were not really set right in the seat. Thankfully, this is not really a big deal for me personally, because if I did have this car and I did want to rest, I would just lay down in the back seat with the seats folded down, bust out my NIO Life air mattress that I already have, I would pump it up, throw it in the back, open the moonroof, gaze at the stars, and have a nice, relaxing night out in the woods. And speaking of relaxing in the back, there are no screens that can play media. You do have a small screen for controlling seat functions and air conditioning and music in the backseat, just like the ET7 and the ES7 and so on. And I personally don't care about if I can watch a movie in the backseat of my car, but I do know some people care about it, so you might care. But thankfully, you can at least plug in 2 AR glasses at the same time using the multiple USB-C ports scattered around the car. With that, you can get the full NIO Pano Cinema multimedia experience. You can get surround sound, all that stuff. You could also upgrade for about $650 to the inbox, which allows up to 4 AR glasses to be plugged in at once. NIO at this event also mentioned that the Nintendo Switch is and/or should be compatible with the AR glasses through the inbox when the ES6 launches, so you could theoretically hop into your NIO, drive up to the top of some mountain somewhere, and then play Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, utilizing the 201-inch equivalent HD screen in the AR glasses and the 7.4.1 speaker system of your ES6. That would be pretty cool, in my opinion, but I would still rather play it at home on a big screen and a sofa. I don't need games in my car. At the same time, NIO's promise of creating a second living room experience in your car is making steady progress with features like this. My only other complaint is the lack of an option for air suspension. Now I understand the reasoning for this. This is an entry-level car for NIO, and if you want a softer ride and a more luxurious experience, then you're going to have to get a NIO ES7. When the only cars on offer were the ES6 and the ES8, of course it made sense to also offer a choice of air suspension versus conventional suspension as an optional upgrade. And now that they have more vehicles, they need to keep each model line differentiated. But man, I would really love this car with a nice, soft, cloud-like air suspension. There are different drive modes. You can choose softer, standard, stiffer. You can also choose other driving modes and driving scenarios in order to customize the drive experience that you prefer. But even at the ES6's softest, it still feels pretty stiff to me. And it's more of a sporty ride than a comfort ride, which of course is, subjective of what you actually prefer. So at the end of the day, is life on with the new ES6? I would argue that yes, life is on. NIO has a hit on their hands with this car. They hit the sweet spot of price, useful functionality, comfort, size. I mean, what more really could you want in a car, especially at this price point? I gotta say, if it doesn't sell well, I don't know what's going on here in China. And so is life on for an individual who buys this car? Yeah, I mean, sure, an entry-level luxury EV for young professionals. Perhaps they're just starting a family. They need a little bit more space than a sedan, but still not a massive tank-like SUV. At a good, affordable price, a car that's going to last them a long time. It's got good materials. It's sporty. It's nimble to drive. It accelerates like a beast. Life sure is on with this car. NIO claims this car accelerates from 0 to 100 in 4.5 seconds. Again, not to get into the Excel tables and the spec sheet comparisons, but when we took this thing out on the airstrip, I mean, look for yourself. It was about 4.2 seconds, actually. 4.3. The NIO EC6 is probably NIO's most mass market product so far, just like the first generation ES6 was in times past. It really represents a huge step forward for NIO in continuing to refine their products and in continuing to refine the NT 2.0 product line. They whittled away a lot of extraneous BS in favor of just the essentials. It's minimalistic, but it's not bare bones. It's a big, safe family car, but it's also elegant and sporty and youthful. It offers mass market appeal, and it represents a new start for NIO and the NT 2.0 platform. What else really can you say? The car is just really, really good. And that's my review. So if you would like to test drive the car in China, scan my QR code before you leave here. If you'd like to try it in Europe, I don't have a QR code for you, but you can input this referral code into the NIO app. So thank you for watching, and if you would like to support the channel in any other way, please just check the description for ways to do so. I hope that every one of you gets and enjoys your all-new, brand new ES6. I'm jealous of you. Goodbye. The next stop on our tour here is the Badaling International Airport, one of the premier airports in China, best airport in Beijing. We're gonna go take a look because NIO has completely taken this airport over. Now, the Badaling International Airport offers daily service to premier international destinations such as Pyongyang. Beauty. Lots more incredible NIO Life products here. A couple of pretzels from Germany. Once we flew together. So here is the memorial wall of all the incredible pilots over the years who have flown out of Badaling. Got pictures from 1997, 1997, 1997, 1997, 1997,